The following episode may contain sensitive topics including drug abuse, suicide, and Richard Rawlings. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay, so favorite Ben Keating commercial?
I think I've erased them all from my memory.
Yeah. Oh, the Mayan.
Yes.
Yes, tell me about the Mayans. Yes.
We're a big fan.
I think our children were mortified.
The Mayans believe the world is going to end October 12th of 2012. And so we are offering Ram trucks at an $8,000 discount, but there's zero payments for 90 days.
Right.
So it's win-win. If the world doesn't end, then you got a great truck at a great deal. If the world does end, you got a great truck and you never have to pay for it.
And now for Dinner with Racers with your hosts, Ryan Eversley and Sean Heckman.
Placeholder radio sound. I'm a driver and I'm very angry. The sound of a driver on the radio during a race.
The Mayans believe the world is coming to an end December 21st. What if they're right? So that means you just have a couple months to drive the truck of your dreams. Get 12 grand off new 2012 Ram truck at Port Lavaca Dodge. Get no payments for 90 days. And who knows, maybe the world will end and you won't have to pay for it. Save big in booming Port Lavaca.
Young Ben Keating. Didn't come from a racing family, didn't grow up a race fan as far as we know.
That's exactly correct.
So how does this all start?
My grandfather became a Ford dealer, I think, in 1949. He had 5 kids, and as they are all trying to find their way in life, he kept on trying to convince them to figure out how to get into the car business, and he helped them do it. So my father got his MBA at Purdue, went to work for Owens Corning Fiberglass in Pennsylvania. Yep. And I was born in Pennsylvania. When I was 2 weeks old, they had piled the whole car up into a U-Haul, and they were moving to Houston to go to work for his father, my grandfather. He called my dad and said, "How would you feel about coming into my dealership and starting this brand new thing in the automotive business called finance and insurance?"
And what year was this?
This had to be 1971.
Okay, so for somebody raised in the 50s, the idea of financing and not paying all cash was a different thing.
It was all brand new.
Yeah.
Now I would say it's the main way we make money in the car business.
Yeah, right.
And so they loaded up the house in the U-Haul. At 2 weeks old, I'm being moved back down to Houston. And on the way, the Ford dealer in Tomball had gotten closed down by the IRS for not paying his back taxes.
Okay.
My grandfather heard about it, went over, negotiated a deal to buy it out of bankruptcy, and my dad called like halfway. He stopped at a payphone, check in, "Hey, I'm in Oklahoma." And my grandfather said, "I'm glad you called. How would you feel about being a dealer?" Of course, I was 2 weeks old when he started, so I grew up in the business.
Right.
For me, I started working at the dealership at 11.
Oh, wow.
And so, 11, 12, 13, mostly during summers, I worked there. And my job was picking up trash,
Okay.
washing cars, and parking them in a straight line. I hated that summer job.
Really?
Yeah.
I hated it.
So this is really, really impressive. To be able to have all the cars that mean so much to you here on display.
You bet.
Just as a car nerd, I'm so happy being in this room.
This is the entrance to our headquarters. This is where I keep the race cars.
So how long have you known Ben Keating?
I've known Ben since 2002 when he was first looking to purchase Port Lavaca Ford.
Ben is very aggressive, it seems like, with his business exploits. Have you been surprised by the growth of the entire organization?
Not at all. His level of risk tolerance is beyond most people's.
Is that something that makes you nervous to work with?
No, not at all. He's also one of the smartest guys that I've ever met, and when he jumps in, then he jumps in.
When you look back at those days, even if you were resistant to working in the car business, can you see signs of you being a salesman even at that age?
Yes, absolutely. The famous family story that gets told, we went on a church ski trip, and I think we were only skiing for 2 days, but it was cheaper to buy a 3-day pass.
I see. And you're how old?
Maybe 12.
Right. Okay.
We get all packed up and ready to go, and I'm going around to everybody and taking their leftover pass.
Because they're not going to use it.
I went down to the line of everybody, the long line standing there, everybody waiting to buy a pass to go skiing that day. And I can't remember how much it was in those days, but I'm going to say it was $40 for a full day of skiing. And so I was selling everybody's pass for $20 a piece.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was awesome.
So you used 2 days of your 3-day pass, and you're selling your third day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't pay for that pass.
Right.
But I was profiting from that pass.
Well, it was from investment money.
Got passes. Anybody need passes?
Got a pass here?
And lo and behold, I look up, and my cousin is in line. And she's doing, she's saying, "What the hell are you doing here?
Why are you?
Why are you here? And why are you selling passes?" And she helped me sell most of them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You had a partner.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is your plane?
Yeah, man. Gig 'em.
Is this Texas A&M Maroon?
Texas A&M Maroon.
Of course it is. So you go to as many games as possible?
As many as I can.
Is this the only way you can do that?
And there's no direct route to drive to College Station.
Sure.
And so it's a 2-hour, 45-minute drive. It's a 30-minute flight.
You have to. So we're flying in your plane right now to go see the game against LSU. Tell me about what Texas A&M really means to you.
It's such a significant part of my life that I go back to work with the students, work with the school. I've bought 6 dealerships in College Station just because I want to be in College Station, because it's a special place in my heart. It's where I got my engineering degree. It's where Kathleen and I met. It's kind of my jumping off spot for getting in the real world after my exciting high school days.
One of the reasons we think you're a compelling character for doing these kind of stories is, yes, you're a driver who pays his way into the sport, but you have a background story and coming up story that is very unique to you, and you're very transparent about it. Teenage Ben Keating in Tomball, Texas. Was there much to do out there?
There was as much to do in small town Tomball, Texas, as there is in small town USA, everywhere.
Gotcha.
Except that Houston was 29 miles away.
Okay.
Which is not very far for a 16-year-old with a car.
Right.
16-year-old Ben Keating loved the independence of having wheels and really enjoyed having fun. The combination of enjoying independence, enjoying having fun, not being afraid of risk, ended up trying smoking a joint for the first time, seeing what ecstasy was like, seeing what LSD was like, seeing what cocaine was like, navigating my way through there going, okay, that was fun.
Right.
So let's do that again.
Yeah.
And again and again. I felt like I had a job, and my job was to be a good student.
Okay.
If I went to work, meaning going to school, and if I got good grades, and I was involved and checked all the boxes to have the nice resume to get into a nice college, so on and so forth. If I was doing my job, then leave me alone. That's my responsibility.
Right.
I lived a little bit of a double life. I was treasurer of the Honor Society. I was vice president of student council. The ex-dealer in my group was 26 years old, and he lived in an apartment in Houston. Everybody gravitated to his apartment. And, even as a 16-year-old, he could get me into any club. And so my best friend growing up was Matthew Mingerink. And I'd call Matt up and said, hey, I'm telling my parents I'm at your house all weekend. Don't call my house and cover for me if my mom calls you.
Yeah, right.
Before cell phones, before
a lot easier to do that than
that's right. Before find my location. So on and so forth. And I would leave on Friday afternoon. I'd go to that guy's house. We'd go to the club. This is back when clubs were open until 5 a.m.
Right.
Then we would get in the car and drive to Galveston, park on the beach, sleep for 3 hours, wake up, party at the beach all day, and then go back, take a shower, go back to the club, party all night, and then I'd show back up at home in Houston in Tomball, on Sunday.
And party would mean taking advantage of everything that was around you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Does your family have any idea what's going on?
No. How was it at Matt's house? It was great. We played Stratego all night long because that's what we would do. My end to the community, if you will, was that nobody in our group had a way of getting acid. And so I became the LSD dealer for this group.
And you're 16.
Yes. I found a guy that went to a different high school. I would buy a sheet of 100, 10 by 10 squares of rice paper with whatever picture on it for $100. So 100 hits for $100. And I would sell them for $7 a piece. And that's how I paid for my ex.
You're reinvesting.
That's right.
So initially it's a weekend activity. It's now turning into a business for you because you're able to...
Only on the weekends, but
I
yes.
got it. But basically, you've got your dealer hookup for LSD. And so now you can now turn a profit off of selling LSD to the same group that you're hanging out with.
Yes.
But you're getting away with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
How'd you eventually get caught?
So I had been invited by a friend to go out hunting at their lease, and I brought a cassette tape. Do I need to describe what a cassette is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I brought a cassette tape case that had 3 rolled joints inside the cassette tape case.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had it inside my jacket pocket. We all went out hunting. I left my jacket on the bed. Her mom picked up the jacket. It fell on the floor and fell open.
Yeah.
And she never said anything about it. Spring break, so March of that year, I had sold that same friend some acid. And they went down to Galveston. The family was spending a week at the beach, and she had a bad trip.
Yeah.
It went really, really bad for her.
Yeah.
And her whole family. It was just a really bad situation.
So in other words, her family maybe wasn't even aware of what she was doing, but then she had such a bad trip.
Oh, yeah.
That they realized her daughter's something's up.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. No, it was she was not herself.
Yeah, they have to handle it now.
And they didn't know where she'd gotten it.
Yeah, right.
She had an older brother, a couple years older, and when that all happened, he went to beating the bushes to figure out where did this come from.
Who did this to his sister?
And eventually it came out that it was me, and she called my mom. I was working at a different place in Tomball. We had an appointment with a therapist. We were already going to this family counselor deal.
Okay.
And so we had our normal...
Unrelated to any of the...
Unrelated, yeah.
Okay.
I would normally drive there, and they would drive there. They came by and said, hey, we're going to come by and pick you up. We're going to all go to the... Jack was his name. We're going to all go to Jack's place together. And it was weird. I don't want to do that. Well, that's what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, WTF?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Right.
And I got dropped off in Alvin, Texas at a treatment center.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I got kidnapped by my parents.
Yeah.
I went through 6 weeks of treatment.
Yeah.
I did my job, was accountable to all my responsibilities. I got sent to a halfway house in Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. I worked at the Wendy's on Airline Drive across from the mall. I decided, okay, I'm willing to quit, but I want to try it. I want to do it one last time.
Sure. Get your last kick out. Yeah.
One last time. And, I snuck out of the halfway house. I went to the club. I didn't do anything that night, but I think it's significant that, I had already made the decision I want to do it one last time.
Yeah, right.
I went back home now as a 17-year-old, and I got to start back at Tomball High School for my junior year of high school.
Okay.
I was staying clean, and I went down to the 1960 AA club for a meeting on a Wednesday at 6:30. And it just so happens that AA club is like right across the street from the apartment complex where the ex-dealer is. And those guys weren't just the drug dealer, they were my friends.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, I just went to an AA meeting. I'm good. I just want to go by and say hi. My parents were out of town. I was at home alone, and I walk into this guy's place, and he says, hey, we're going to the club in Houston. Why don't you come with us? And so I did. I don't know how much you know about, LSD is crystals on rice paper. It's if you stick it on your tongue, it's not like you can say, never mind, I'm not going to take it. Yeah. Once it hits your tongue, you're toast.
Yeah. Okay.
Literally, I walked into the club. One of my friends was so excited to see me. Without me realizing what's going on, he
just puts it in your mouth.
He stuck it in my mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay.
Yeah.
If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
Give me a hit of X.
Yeah,
right. Because at this point, it's already happening, so you may as well.
Long story short, this all comes out, and I'm given a choice. Either I go to treatment right now, or I'm not welcome at home, and I am out of the family. Basically disowned. And I started walking to my car, and I got cold feet, or maybe I had better judgment, maybe divine intervention. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I decided, man, I've got things really, really good, and I'm getting ready to make a really bad decision. Yeah. I went to treatment. Unbeknownst to any of them, I had a hit of X in my pocket. I took it as we walked into the door of the treatment center, and that was the last thing I ever did.
So you end up going to rehab the second time. How much of a process was that?
That was the first time I really recognized that I was affecting other people.
Yeah.
That it wasn't just about me.
Right.
My mom went off the deep end. I'm comfortable saying our relationship has never been the same.
Yeah.
They shipped me off to a halfway house or treatment center in Oklahoma City, and the head counselor at the place in Oklahoma City, which is no longer there, he was gifted.
Okay.
You couldn't get away with anything with that guy.
Yeah.
He could look at you and nail you.
Yeah.
At that point in time, I had decided that I wasn't going to use anymore. I was going to quit. Yeah. I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. I had grown my hair out, long hair, ponytail.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten done with the halfway house. We determined that it was a bad idea for me to move back to Tomball. And so I decided I was going to stay in Oklahoma City. So as a senior in high school, I shopped all the schools, decided where I wanted to go to public school. This school in Oklahoma City, you could do whatever you wanted with your hair.
Is that why you shopped that one?
No.
Okay.
I shopped that one because that's where most of my sober friends were going.
Oh, you made the conscious choice to be around sober friends.
That's right.
And be in an environment that could
That's
keep you
right.
that way. So you did really want to be sober by this
That's
point.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I got an apartment in that school district, and I was my own legal guardian for my senior year of high school. So I went into treatment on November 18th of 1988. And the reason I know that is because I haven't touched drugs or alcohol since.
How early on did Ben's issues come up with you guys about his teenage years?
Actually, he was really frank about it early on.
You've always talked about it very openly and almost proudly, in fact, being on your own at a young age and doing what you did, and because it was impressive.
It was very impressive.
I don't think of it as impressive. I think of it as I got to do what every kid wished they could have done. Even though I can't imagine my children doing that, they all would have loved to have lived on their own for their senior year of high school.
So we met at A&M. I think it was junior year. We were in Fortran.
So you met at a programming class?
Yeah. Yes.
You two met at a programming
Very
class.
romantic.
Yeah. Okay.
But he was the guy with long hair, believe it or not.
I'm seeing it.
Back in the day, and motorcycle helmet
Okay.
tucked under his arm, and he was on the back row.
Ben was the badass computer engineer?
Well, no.
Did he actually have a motorcycle or just a helmet?
He did have a motorcycle.
Okay.
And I would sit on the front row, kind of the scholastic individual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I just thought he was kind of hot.
Okay. Nice. So you were the good student, good girl, and here comes bad boy Ben Keating.
Yeah.
Yes.
With the motorcycle helmet and the flowing badass hair.
Yes.
Okay.
Was the intro a class thing, or did you actually put the moves on one another?
I asked her for help with my homework.
Nice.
Good move.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little did I know he was the 4.0.
In the class?
Yeah.
So the help was not genuine.
No. When we had done study group together, he would always wear this, like a Hanes white T-shirt that was ripped from armpit to beginning of sleeve, and it was safety pinned together. So I really thought
Man, you could pick him.
that he was. Yeah. I mean, I was like, he's really cute, but I think he's maybe
homeless.
Yeah.
After we'd been dating, not exclusive, but dating for 6 weeks, my family was going on a vacation to the Bahamas. I thought it would be fun since I'm already going to be there. I'll stay over, and we'll find some cheap place to rent. And so I invited her to come over to the Bahamas.
Good game.
Pretty early, too.
Yeah.
6
That's right.
weeks, I think.
Yeah.
6 weeks. And she couldn't believe her parents let her go.
Very strict Catholic.
Okay. Yeah.
Military.
Oh, your dad was in the military, or your mom?
My dad.
Okay, and so here you have this long-haired hippie with a motorcycle picking you up that has holes in his shirt,
And my two
and he
brothers.
wants to take you to the islands.
Yes, and my two brothers are in the military also.
So we came back, and there was this other guy that was hot for Kathleen. She says, "What's wrong with you? You know, why are you acting so weird?" And he says, "I can't compete with the Bahamas."
Hey, Ben.
Wow.
How's it going? Doing all right?
I can't believe you're here.
Yeah, no, isn't that
Doing
weird
great.
running into you?
I mean, I can't believe I'm already wearing a mic, too.
Man, look at you.
Wow, it's amazing. So last year might have been my best year ever of racing. Those are my 2 championships from last year. On the left-hand side is my championship from IMSA. On the right-hand side is the World Championship with the Corvette in GT. The Rolex 24 win in the Viper on those incredible Continental tires.
It's the best tire. It's the smart choice in tires. So why do you have this?
Because you have to be able to go in. So I come in the one garage door, straight in, and then I rotate around to wherever parking spot I want to back into.
Got it.
I want to point this out to you because it's fairly well known that my wife bought me a weekend at Texas World Speedway for Christmas, and that's how I got into racing. So this would have been 2006. I literally took a Viper off the showroom floor and went to Texas World. I'm wearing this awesome open face helmet that has TWS on the side because I had no idea that I was supposed to bring a helmet. But this is the only photo I have from my very first day on the track ever.
And the value of that 2-day school, what was it?
The value is really, really high. The cost was $225.
Right. A $225 Christmas present has led to this building existing, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember early in meeting them when Kathleen bought Ben a racing lesson.
Oh, yeah.
For
That
his
was what
birthday.
started all of this.
Oh, okay. Wait, so were you in on this first conversation of the
It was
Kathleen
Christmas.
Yeah,
but,
she had done it, and she kind of was like, I don't know if this is a brilliant idea or a horrible idea, and she
I
can
still
answer that
don't know.
now.
I'm still not sure.
So let's. Does everybody know this story of how Ben got into racing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have this. You see this random ad.
Tell me your recall on that.
Oh gosh. Well, it was just she was looking for a good birthday gift, and she was like, I think he'd really get into this, and then he clearly did, and she's like, oh my gosh, this may have been a mistake. And then I think it was a year or two later, I'm looking for a birthday gift for my husband, and he went out and raced, and he came back, and it was the most thrilling and terrifying day of my life.
It was.
I want to go back out, but at the same time, I never want to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that he has something that brings him joy, and I mean, honestly, kind of takes him out of town a couple weeks.
There it is. There it is. So tell us the story from your eyes of how did this start?
I can't even remember. I mean, I remember that I bought him a Christmas present, but I can't remember how I found it.
Oh, okay.
And I believe I paid $225, and I thought, I have nailed the Christmas present.
Yeah.
Like, it was a considerable amount of money, but I was like, this is the big gift.
Right.
Like, this is
Yeah.
perfect. And I thought, he's going to love this.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, here we go.
And you were right.
Yeah.
Get 40% off MSRP this weekend on every type of vehicle we sell. No payments till March. 0 down at signing. Plus 40% off cars, trucks, and SUVs only in Port Lavaca.
This is where a lot of the magic happens here. The green screen. This is the room where the magic happens. Television commercials right here.
Has Ben ever suggested that you go smaller?
Oh, no. Ben's not that kind of guy.
Super Mario?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
He doesn't want things to be stiff. That's not his theme for his commercials. He wants it to be exciting. That's why it's booming Port Lavaca. It's an explosion.
Did you know about the Ben Keating commercials before you started working here?
Yes, only the booming Port Lavaca one. But...
And is that like a thing around town that everybody knows it?
Oh yes, everyone knows the bald guy that screams booming Port Lavaca.
Booming Port Lavaca. PortLavacaDodge.com.
Nervous. I'm nervous. Since your job here is legal counsel for the Keating Auto Group, is there anything you've had to shut down on the commercial side or the marketing side?
No, I haven't. They probably don't ask me for a reason, but no, I haven't had to shut anything down.
Is Ben more of the ask for forgiveness type of client?
Absolutely, that's right.
I just want everyone in the world to know that at Toyota Victoria, the deals are real.
Obviously, we know Ben now as the car salesman and always selling. At 20 years old, sophomore in college, could you tell this was a salesman? Was he always selling in some way?
No, I mean, at that time, he didn't even really want to go into the car business. I mean, at the beginning.
Yeah.
And then he had an internship that he was like, if these are the people that could be my competitors, then I felt like this is perhaps the venue for me.
Yeah. At 11 years old, you work for your father at Tom Ball Ford. You've multiple times said that you basically went away to college and career-wise had no intention on ever working in the car business.
That's correct.
What was the turnoff?
As an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 18-year-old, my only experience in the car business was picking up trash, washing cars, and parking them in a straight line.
Right.
And I hated it.
So the thrill of the sale and the meeting the customers, the things that make it probably fun, you
That's
weren't
right.
getting any of those parts of it.
I wasn't a part of any of that.
Yeah.
Right.
And, as far as I was concerned, the guys that were selling cars, were I mean, they're the ones that were pulling pranks on me and making fun of me. And, I was known around that crowd as easy money.
Why were you easy money?
Because I was the dealer's kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the dealer's son.
Right.
I'm out there working my ass off. Yeah. What do you mean easy money?
Right.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Kind of a deal.
Earn your money.
It's not easy to me.
From what we've always understood, Ben was not going to follow in his father's footsteps. How much of that did you see early on?
Oh, I mean, I think it was like just taken off the table. He
Just
wasn't
not
going to do
work
it.
in the car business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to Texas A&M, meet the love of your life, and up to a point, you're not going to work in the car business.
Absolutely. No interest.
And then it changes.
Correct.
What'd you do wrong?
What'd I do right? I did an internship for a company that did consulting for car dealers.
Oh, okay.
I did an internship with an insurance company who did insurance for car dealers, but their foot in the door was training.
I gotcha.
And so I spent the summer doing a week at a different car dealership all summer.
So you're getting a really good swath of how different places operate.
Yeah.
That's right. Number one, these dealerships are making what seems to me to be a ton of money.
Yeah.
Number two, I thought that they were not doing a very good job of running their business.
Yeah.
And so therefore,
opportunity.
It looks like a giant opportunity. I think I can run circles around these guys. Yeah. And so if these idiots can make that much money, then this is the business I have to get into. My feeling was, Kathleen, you go get a job anywhere USA, and I'll get a job in the car business wherever we go.
I see.
She was at Dell Computer in Austin, managing a line building laptop computers. And so I went to work at Covert Ford. I had this big plan for myself. I thought more of myself than I should have. I got upset that they promoted a guy off the sales floor, and I wasn't even interviewed for the job. Right. And so I realized it's going to be a long time before I get promoted.
Right.
And so I decided I didn't want to wait that long. And that's when I called my dad and said, hey, what about making me used car manager?
Yeah.
This guy who'd been resistant to working for his father and sort of being in the same footsteps this whole time all of a sudden works for his dad. Did you feel any resistance to that kind of work?
Not to the car business.
Right, but working for his dad as the next career move.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I knew even at that point, familial business is not.
Doesn't always go well.
Yeah.
Like gonna
That's
end.
another layer.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known a little more.
Do you have any memories of Ben's dad?
Oh, sure. Yeah, a lot. Ben's dad obviously was very smart, and I would say the word conservative comes to mind in terms of business and outlook, and a little bit of kind of a doomsday prepper, but a very interesting man, interesting guy. And I remember one time we were actually over there at a dinner party, and I remember being out on the front porch, and your dad came out, and my father-in-law was out there, and we were all talking, and somebody mentioned something about Tomball Ford, and he said, yeah, I just don't know who's going to run Tomball Ford if I'm done, if I don't want to do it. Right. And I'm going, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, how do you not, you know? And so just an interesting dynamic in like how he thought about things.
Sure. Was that kind of your first insight to the strain that would have existed between them?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah. And it was insightful in some different ways. Yeah. Obviously he was very smart, very successful, probably a little bit quirky in some ways, looking back. Yeah. Kind of wore the same things regularly, like every day, and some different characteristics like that.
I haven't talked about the way that he dressed, but I think that's a pretty good picture.
Yeah.
One day somebody told him that what he was wearing looked good. And he had 20 pairs of the same pant, 40 of the identical same shirt, and several of the identical same sport coat.
Yeah.
He wore the same thing every day, and he just said, it's my uniform.
Right.
My mom says, it really bugs me that you wear the same thing every day. And he says, hey, I'll do whatever you want. Take me shopping. And she took him to Neiman Marcus, and they bought a red shirt. And he showed up at the office, and everybody was like, oh, my gosh. Wow, you look good in a red shirt.
Yeah.
He went home and ordered 40 red shirts. And from that moment on, his uniform was a red shirt.
This country keeps rolling. It's not about to slow down. And neither are we. Interest-free financing from GM continues from now through January 2nd. Keep America rolling.
So 9/11 happens. My father was ultra-conservative, doomsday prepper kind of a guy. When 9/11 happens, he never said this, but the impression that everybody had was, this is the big one I've been telling you about.
Okay.
This is what I've been waiting for. This is World War III. We've been attacked on home soil. All hell's breaking loose. Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on your approach to it, it was the first time in the history of the world that we'd ever had 0% for 60 months. And I was the general sales manager at Tomball Ford, in charge of selling new Fords. And I'm selling new Fords faster than I've ever sold them in my life.
Never been a thing prior.
Never
because
been
it
a
makes
thing.
Bad economic sense.
So we're selling new Fords faster than ever before.
But if you're your father, who's very conservative, a 0% interest rate sounds terrifying.
He doesn't. It's not the selling lots of new cars that he had a problem with. It's the fact that you could get 0% on a new one, or you had 8% on a used one. During that time period, we doubled new vehicle sales.
Right.
So which means we doubled the trade-ins we were receiving, and nobody wanted a used car. Used cars plummeted.
Because you're going to pay just as much on an 8% finance as you are for a new car.
That's right.
Right.
We were making $3,000 on every car we were selling and losing $5,000 on every trade we'd taken in.
Yeah, right.
And so what drove my dad nuts is that, I'm go, 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 sell, sell, sell. We're killing it. Go, go, go. And he's looking at it going, all these used cars are piling up. Nobody wants them. You're stepping over $1 to pick up a dime, kind of a deal. He came to me very sternly and said, this is not sustainable. If you really wanted to, you could come up with a plan of how to sell 200 used vehicles in the month of November. He would not let it go. On November 1st, we have a manager's meeting And in the meeting, he announces to all the other managers, Ben is now going to present us with this plan. I've just said, I didn't do it. It's not reasonable. He got really upset with me. He could be pretty difficult at times. The word he used was that I was being insubordinate.
Yeah.
And I lost it. I felt so strongly that he was being unreasonable and treating me with such disrespect that I wasn't going to take it. The next day, I was fired.
I remember that because there's some controversy here over exactly why Ben got fired.
Oh.
What doesn't get mentioned is for Halloween, Ben dressed up like his dad in the red shirt.
Oh, wait. We didn't hear this part. Wait.
Face.
Because this is, so, I mean, from racing, I know you when you're annoyed with somebody. And by Halloween of 2001, were you and your father already kind of getting fractious about how you wanted to handle the economic
I've
change?
never made this connection. I never have
Really?
made this connection.
Yeah. In racing, when somebody pisses you off, you mock them.
That's true.
Yeah.
I will attend to mock people.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we look at those photos, the one that comes to mind, one of my favorite photos is the fat suit.
Yeah.
That I wore to the driver's meeting because I was protesting how much weight we had been given in the BOP.
The other one is the triangle hat.
Yeah.
You wore to NAB.
Yeah, we saw that.
Don was there for that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It proves the point that you dressing up like your father, who you're already kind of at odds with, could lead to him not taking it well if it was especially meant.
I suppose it could have.
Is this the first time you thought of that?
Yes, absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I could have had something to do with it.
So from 2008 to 2010, you were racing in the Viper series.
Correct.
Nowhere near as expensive as, say, Grand Am or ALMS time, but still, it's still expensive.
Back then, it's really funny. Not that funny, but I was spending $200,000 a year. $200,000 a year.
Right.
Club racing.
Right.
And everybody I was racing with was accusing me of money whipping them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you were the
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You start delving into Daytona 24 and,
my first year of doing that was 2011. And the reason I did it in 2011 was because my grandparents had both died in 2010.
Right.
And they left me inheritance.
Yeah.
And I blew my entire inheritance.
Yeah.
On half of a Daytona car.
Half.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But, I said, I have zero interest in doing the race unless I know that we've got a really competitive car.
Rather not spend the money.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Spend the money on something that's not going to
waste money.
And it was $200,000 in 2011 for half the car. And that was all of my inheritance.
$200,000, if you have a series of dealerships that aren't doing well, is not a good idea.
Oh, no. I did not have the money to be there.
Right. But
absolutely.
But my question is for Kathleen in that sense. Did you see The Addict come out when that happened?
I think I've always, known the Addict as far as racing's concerned. He talks openly, and we've talked openly about you just replace one addiction with another.
Right.
So knew that, but I will say maybe at the time, I don't know, but I would say not total transparency about dollars to cents.
Sure.
The 18th, we're also hoping to close the Chevrolet purchase. Give me an update on C-Bond. We'd like to have you as an intern. We'd like to have you as a long-term career path.
So based on what we've seen, you basically spend the whole day talking to other people.
Today is unusual.
Today, I have spent the entire day talking to other people. I'd say on most days, I end up sitting in front of my computer looking at email and reports. I haven't looked at email yet today. I have somewhere around 200 unread emails. I love working late, and I love working on Saturday afternoon. It's a great time to catch up and answer all of those things, do all those things without interruption, because if I'm in the office, there's a really high chance that I'm going to be ending up talking to somebody.
So the conversation that Ben wants to go out on his own, how is that for you? You've got kids. I imagine big risk may not be your favorite thing.
Big risk is not my favorite thing.
You're married to Ben Keating.
Right. I know. That's why we're like
heard that
so.
podcast.
Like there's like the voice here and the voice here. No, it was a scary time, but we had just bought our prime piece of property that we thought we were gonna like make our lifetime home.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 2 hours away from my family. We have a difficult relationship at this point with the grandparents, his parents. I was like, I can't even shop at Target. Like, we can't. I mean, I was like,
because you couldn't afford it?
We have no
wow.
money.
Yeah.
I mean, we had no money.
You know, when he fired me, then I'm unemployed. Then I'm like, okay, now I want to go do my own deal because I don't want partners.
Right.
Yeah,
I learned a lesson.
That's right. You know, I remember specifically having a $1,200 mortgage payment due, and I had $1,000 in the bank total to our name.
Yeah.
And a good friend of ours still, who's a dealer, and I used his dealer license to go to the auction to buy 2 cars. I took them to another dealer friend and wholesaled them to him to make
just to get
$500 just to make the mortgage payment.
Yeah. He began wholesaling vehicles
Yep.
as a way to make money, and also at the same time began looking for a dealership to purchase. And so that's where we began having some conversations. I was coming from a world where kind of had that background and did some of that on a kind of day job. Yeah. And so we began kind of talking about that.
The gentleman who was the general sales manager at Tomball Ford when I was 11 and 12 working there as a porter, he had become the Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealer in Port Lavaca. He heard that I was looking for an opportunity to buy a store. He called me up and said, hey, man, the Ford dealer in Port Lavaca just went broke. Get your ass down here and check it out. And I drove down there and I bought it. I mean, real estate, business, assets, everything all in, I think it was $935,000, which when you have nothing, it might have been, it could have been $90 million. It doesn't matter. But I had done all the math with Don Whitaker, who is now my CFO, and figured out how to minimize the required capital. And so I made the dealership look really, really small. I put all the value on the real estate. I structured it in such a way that I only needed to come up with $320,000 to be able to close the deal.
Right.
And I borrowed $320,000 from my grandfather, who was on my father's side of this debate, this argument.
Right.
But when you present to a manufacturer that you're going to do this deal, you have to prove that the money you're putting in is unencumbered.
Right.
Okay. It's not borrowed.
It's not borrowed, yeah.
And so I knew this. And so I took the money to Crosby State Bank right down the street from my grandfather's house. And I opened a CD on Monday for $320,000.
Yeah.
And on Tuesday, I went back and I said, cancel the CD. I don't want it anymore. Yeah. And they're like, oh, you're going to have to pay a penalty. Yeah, I understand.
Fine.
Yeah,
Right.
Cancel it. And so You know, I told Ford I've got 320 grand right here.
Based on a CD.
I've had the money in a CD.
Yeah,
It's a true statement.
It was.
I've had the money in a CD,
They fixed it.
waiting for this moment, and here's the paperwork where I just took it out, and that checked the box.
Kathleen, when you were in college, did you have a credit card?
No.
Because you didn't believe in them?
If I've ever had a card, I pay it off each month.
Because you're just a no debt, cash
Yes.
positive on everything you do.
Yes, no debt.
And you married a car dealer.
I knew that you had to have cash to buy another opportunity.
Yeah.
Anybody was willing to loan me any money on anything, I was taking that loan.
Yeah, got it.
Because I wanted to keep all my cash.
Yeah.
You know, I could have a $500,000 loan and $500,000 in cash, and I wasn't going to pay off the debt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On our first 7 dealership purchases, which was 1 per year for 7 years,
Yeah.
they were almost all 100% leveraged, almost 100% loan.
By 2009, you have
7.
7 different dealerships, and you're effectively making payments on all of them.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember it specifically to Chrysler Financial only.
Yeah.
I owed $18 million.
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, if I ever made $20 million, I could sell it all and never have to work again.
Right, right.
Here's my question, though, is it like you've got $10 million in debt and then $15 million in debt, or whatever the number is, and yet you keep taking more on to have more dealerships. Why? Why do you feel the need to keep going?
Great question.
Yeah.
Because every time we bought one, it took off like a rocket. We were so successful, it felt like we could do no wrong. It felt like everything we touched turned to gold.
Can I use a phrase I used earlier? You're getting away with it.
Sure.
Is this the attic coming out?
You said earlier, do you think racing is your new drug? And I laughed and I said, yes, sort of. And that's because I was thinking to myself, yes, racing is one of my drugs. Buying dealerships is the other one. In my office, over to the left, where I have my coffee bar and sink and all that kind of stuff, I've got 3 old photos of Port Lavaca Ford. My father drove to Port Lavaca, took all those photos, and went back to Tomball without me knowing.
Huh.
You know, we were mortal enemies,
He was still proud
and
of
yet he was so proud
Yeah.
of what we had done, what I had done, that he came in and he took those photos, and I think they're awesome.
Yeah. You had no idea.
I had no idea. And so I had to go to Houston for a Ford dealer advertising meeting. And when I went to Houston for that meeting, he also came in to represent Tomball Ford at that meeting, and we had a good couple days together. Then Kathleen and I, handed out the olive branch of, why don't you come to Victoria and have Thanksgiving at our house? So they came down to Victoria. We had a nice big Thanksgiving meal, had a really great long walk around the neighborhood. And so we did have a coming together, a healing of sorts. We had a great time at Thanksgiving. 10 days later, Kathleen and I are at a Victoria supper club, doing our Christmas supper club, doing kind of a white elephant ornament exchange with a bunch of our friends. 10 o'clock at night on, I think, a Thursday night, something like that, I get the call from my mom that my father's dead because he just shot himself. And she was right there watching it.
Oh, God.
So was my cousin. So were the police. You know, this big, ugly deal. I mean, I was in shock, immediately in shock.
What guts me is I remember you and I being in the car here in the driveway, and I've never heard those sounds that came out of you. Yeah. Just breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Like just a final acceptance and acknowledgement of that loss.
I now know that unbeknownst to anyone else in the family, he had gotten on antidepressants 3 days earlier. And literally like 6 months after this happened, you know, all these studies came out that for the first week of starting to be taken antidepressant, the rate of suicide just skyrockets. This study basically told my dad's story. Wow. You know, he had spent the entire day locked up in one of the rooms in our house reading his Bible. Somehow or another, he just convinced himself that there was no way out. Yeah. And our family attorney probably described it better than anybody. He just says, man, Tom had a squirrel cage in his head, and that squirrel was running 100 miles an hour all the time, and he could not get the squirrel to quit running.
Good morning. Saturday morning.
I'm okay with this because I got up just to watch you work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
nice.
going to sit in the van.
That's good.
Yeah. Do these guys know that you're like a professional competitive athlete?
They know I race cars.
Okay. So is there a group text that Ben's not a part of because he rides so fast that you guys would rather have a nicer ride? Why are you laughing? Does he eat an absorbent amount of food?
Yes. He loves to challenge you on how much you're eating. And he'll tell you that you're not eating enough.
Okay.
And I disagree.
Is it frustrating to you that he can eat as much as he does and stay in the shape that he's in?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Is it a distraction or is it a benefit for Ben to go racing?
I think it's a benefit because I think it quenches that thirst.
He loves to have a full schedule. He loves to pack a 20-pound ball in a 10-pound bag, and I think that racing gets some of that out of the system.
If he wasn't doing racing, he'd be doing it somewhere else that may be more dangerous. So,
would you say Ben invests in people?
Oh yeah, I would say so. There's just too many signs of that throughout the organization.
If you could describe Ben Keating in one word, what would it be?
Aggressive.
Inspirational.
Passion. Enthusiast. He's a go-getter, for sure.
That was like 5 words.
I know.
If you could describe Ben Keating in one word, what would it be?
The word that comes to mind is competitive, regardless of what area, whether it's a track or
life.
Enthusiastic.
Inclusive.
Giving.
Champion.
Generous.
Fun.
My guy.
Pookie.
Oh, Pookie's the best.
That's it.
Someone might watch this 20 years from now and not have known you as a racer or
Sure.
anything. What would you hope the legacy that you'd leave behind is?
From a racing perspective, I think my legacy has been I'm a better driver at 53 than I was at 45. You can get better. You can grow. You can build a winning team. Life is too short to race with I work really hard to build a winning team made of good people.
So, any weird quirks about Ben?
Man, the only thing is if he's eating lunch sometimes, and I'm not around him much for dinner, but he will lick and kind of suck off the end of his fingers after eating a good bite of something.
Yeah.
He will actually, he loves guacamole.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Who doesn't,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So he will use his finger to lick up the end of the guacamole.
Okay.
Facts?
Well,
Hey, that's
one, it's a fact, but two, I'm going to extend the
Please do.
guacamole story a little
Please
bit.
do.
We've been around. Y'all were at our office. You saw the table. We sit there often for lunch. And one day there's a guacamole incident, I'm going to say. And I still to this day do not know how this happened. There was guacamole on the inside
All
of
over
his
him.
jacket.
Yeah.
It was.
What are you doing, man?
It was
I don't
everywhere.
know how the guacamole got there.
We
It
don't
was
know.
everywhere.
And every time he opened his jacket or did something, it would pop up somewhere else.
Yeah.
It was one of the most amazing
Right.
things ever. I still laugh.
If you're at a party that's not work related, do you use the Keating commercials as like an icebreaker?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's, I come out there and I'm like, yeah, I'm the guy that's making all those commercials that you're watching. Oh, you're the guy that made the Victorian ad? Yeah, that's me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you gonna cruise with the monkey?
Go to cruisingwiththemonkey.com to find out how you can spend a week with your favorite race car drivers. Ben Keating, Jerome Blakemolen, Bill Riley, Catherine Legg, and Christina Nielsen. Mark Goosens, Mark Miller, plus Gas Monkey Energy Drag Racer Alex Laughlin.
When we sat down to the podcast with Ben a couple years ago, we talked about addiction issues, we talked about his father's death, and the only thing that made him visibly frustrated with us was when we brought up Gas Monkey energy drink.
I think specifically we're talking about the cruise.
The cruise.
Cruising with
He
the
knew.
cruising
He's
with
like
the monkey.
The cruise.
Yeah. So just for context, so cruising with the monkey.
Yeah, cruising with the monkey.
Was an idea in which Richard Rawlings and the brain trust behind the Gas Monkey brand.
That's right.
We're going to invite all the sports car and racing fans onto a private cruise.
That's right.
And you could hang out with
Correct.
Richard Rawlings.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Well,
bigger-
who wouldn't want to do that? Apparently, a lot of people would not want to do that.
That was one of the worst decisions I ever made.
Oh, that was a tough one.
I was blind to the fact that it could cost me a ton of money.
Yeah.
Which it did.
Yeah.
When you say a ton of money, where does it compare to a WEC budget?
It is equal to a WC budget.
Holy sh**.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, I didn't know it was that bad.
Certain things, when you think about them, they seem like
Well, so let me ask you this. So
no-brainers.
So the cruising with the monkey. Ben, you can look at how mad he is now.
It's like, it worked out. I'm still Ben
he's
Keating.
fine. Yeah. What was he more mad at? The expense or the fact that it was a bad idea?
probably the bad idea.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
yeah.
because he's competitive.
We're on a road trip.